So I'll put a new toolbox on the ute. Let's have a look. Rightio, so the box itself is a Tool Pro box, relatively inexpensive. I think Hercules is the actual company who makes the toolbox, but all made in Australia. Half decent quality, really decent locks on it. So press locks and lift up, hydraulic rams on each. I don't think you'd be able to mount anything to the top, but you know, holds the lid up so it doesn't bash you on the head. I think we'll start with the top shelf and the stuff that's in the top, and then we'll go through some of the bigger stuff. Alright, so starting from left to right, I've got these just regular toolbox sort of storage bins, usually mount on a rack or a shelf, but I've got a couple sitting in the top here. One on the far left just has about 17 different kinds of tape, duct tape, some SOS silicone tape, there's even some Loctite sitting in there. Second one is bits and pieces, there's tubing and there's some drinkers from the pig farm, there's a washout nozzle, brand new one there, some clothes pegs, hose clamps, overlock pins, just bits and pieces. Second one's just a pair of leather gloves. The next one, a tape measure and some parachute cord. It comes in quite handy for just tying stuff down either in the toolbox, or there's a tarp on the back that's been tied down and it's flapping a little bit. And then a few laps of this around it can hold it down instead of using a full size rope. In the last one, I've got some silicone, a couple of markers, a pair of safety glasses. Drop everything. We have some good quality respirators which have the valve in them. They're really good for fumes and welding galvanised steel. And a bit of a drag chain that I made up mostly for dragging trees off four-wheel drive tracks, so you don't have to destroy a rope or a recovery strap. 6 or 7 different pairs of leather gloves. There's an F-clamp up here, which doesn't get used very often, but it comes in handy occasionally. Sitting in the front, we have a 1/2 inch, and it's a 1.5 foot long breaker bar. It sits up here because it doesn't fit anywhere else. There's a padlock. Back, we have some cable ties, just some biggies, and we have some good thick rubber gloves for either working on the vehicle, a dead animal on the road, you can drag it off the side of the road, anything you don't want to get your hands dirty for that might cause a disease. That's it for the top. So in the bottom here, along with all the loose items, there's 4 separate toolboxes, tool bags, which I'll go through in a minute. But just to start off with all the loose things, on top here first, which probably gets used probably the most out of everything in here, is just a basic elastic cargo net. It's only a cheapie, but they wear out pretty quick even if they're cheap or expensive. So you get the cheap one. I'll pull all the hooks off and keep those separate, because I found the hooks is what causes them to tangle up the most, and that's frustrating. The next thing on top is a really good quality 2.5 ton rated ratchet strap. The strap itself and the ratchet is under here. So these are full size for the trucking industry. It comes in really handy. I mean, you could even tow the vehicle with this. But heavy things on trailers, the little snatch straps, or sorry, the little ratchet straps and the little ropes don't really cut it. You need something nice and big. 2 two short lengths of rope because one long length was pissing me off. So I cut it into two smaller lengths, so they come in a bit handier than one long length. A set of cheap jumper cables. We had to change the air conditioning belt because it was starting to get cracked, but it's still a viable part, so we keep it in here as a spare. Part of the recovery kit is just a basic folding shovel. Dig some mud or sand out from under the wheels if you have to. Bottle of coolant over here. Had some issues a little while ago with the cooling system in the ute. It's fixed now, but having some coolant is always good insurance. There's a rag. We have the towing hitch. Always pull it out and just chuck it in here so it doesn't get stolen. We have a recovery snatch, not a snatch block, but a recovery block with the pin, a decent sized bow shackle. Hanging off to the side here in a clamp is a cheap spotlight torch. It's not very bright, but it does come in handy. Here, inside this bag, right at the front so it's fairly accessible, is a 4-ton snatch strap. For those who don't know what a snatch strap is, it's essentially a nylon webbing strap which acts as a giant elastic band for recovering a vehicle. So instead of having a dead, blunt shock when the vehicle's recovered, it's a little bit easier on the recovery vehicle and the bog vehicle. Alright, and hanging on the back here is the LED work light, which I believe is flat at the moment. Okay, I'll put this side back together and I'll join you on the other side. Alright, so on the left side, down here in front is a small parts tray. Been in a lot of my videos, this thing, you're pulling something apart, it's always handy to be able to lay them out rather than let them roll around on the ground. My precious steel hatchet, which was a birthday present, so it stays in here for, I don't know, because I like to have it with me. That same rag. Underneath the go bag, which I'll go through in a minute, is the bolt box. So anytime I come across a fastener or anything that to do a job and there's a couple of bolts left over, they always end up in here. So screws, bolts, nuts, washers, bits of everything in there. Across here in the back, which might be a little bit dark to see, hanging off the rail is my old hunting knife. This vehicle doesn't use any oil, it doesn't burn any oil, but I carry a small bottle of oil in here just to help. Some parts cleaner, some WD-40, some degreaser, a really good penetrating oil back here, some sprayed grease, aerosol grease, and another tin of cleaner and degreaser. Right in the back corner is a little cardboard box which just has an elastic strap which it comes in handy for just tying stuff down basically in the small area behind the toolbox here. And buried right in the bottom are all the hooks for the cargo net. So I'll lay the cargo net out over the load and just grab half a dozen hooks or so and get it locked down to save the stress of tangling. Right, so the bigger toolbox is in here. I think I shall drag them all out to the tray of the ute and I think we'll go through them one by one out there. Okay, so the first toolbox or bag is what I like to call my go bag. Nothing terribly exciting, but it's got some basic hand tools in it so that I don't have to drag out the big behemoth over here, which weighs about 8 tons, to do some small jobs. So, there's pens and markers and knives, Allen keys, screwdrivers, hammer, basic hand tools. Crescent wrench there, scissors, just some basic stuff so that I don't have to bring out the entire toolbox to go and do a job. The little red toolbox is my electrical kit. So all these packets of heat shrink, cable ties, more heat shrink, more and more cable ties, geared more towards 12 volt and automotive than anything big or anything like that. Several spools of electrical wire, just salvaged out of different things. There's some pretty heavy stuff in here, so and repair some decent things. There's a small torch which I use for either the heat shrink, or if you're really careful you can solder with. A really good pair of multifunction pliers, which are great for electrical work, actually really good for fishing as well. They got their own little pouch here. The refill gas for the torch, one of those crappy electrical tools that everybody seems to own. Box of 150, I think, blade fuses, all different amperages, comes in here. And I have this container, which has a bag of fuses of all stripes and sizes that we salvaged from my old vehicle. Some light globes, some twist connectors, a whole bunch of little bodgy electrical fixes. There's even a boat switch in there, some relays, some little twist connectors. Just a little container full of all sorts of bits and pieces to get someone out of trouble, to install the stereo, install some driving lights on a vehicle. Basic little electrical kit. Keep it all into one place so that nothing floats around. This bad boy, probably the most expensive thing in the toolbox, is a portable ARB compressor. Nice long air hose, connects straight to your battery, really good high output, as well as a cheap puncture repair kit in here, so you can fix a puncture and get your tyres back up to pressure. Plus, the best way to get yourself unbogged, if you are bogged somewhere, is to let air out of your tyres. But once you get back to the bitumen, you need to put the air back in. So, it doesn't weigh that much. It's not very heavy, so it stays with me all the time. Now, the behemoth is all of my other hand tools. So we have spanners over here on the left, we have some ratchet spanners, some offsets, some standards, all metric, all screwdrivers. There's some hex drivers, some Torx drivers. I think there's some nut drivers in the bottom of there. Over here is all my sockets and ratchets, extensions, all those sorts of things. The next one down is sort of the little junk drawer. So there's markers and pens and there's circlip pliers, trim removal tools, double-sided tape, a miniature pair of vice grips, which come in handy more often than you'd think. There's even some gun cleaning stuff in here, some screw extractors, more pocket knives, some keyring tools, inspection mirror, all those sorts of things. In the bottom there's nothing too exciting. There's sockets, there's a pipe wrench there, there's a small grease gun which comes in handy for longer four-wheel drive trips if you're doing a lot of water crossings. You need to climb underneath and grease all your universal joints and your steering arms and everything because they can get the grease washed out of them. It's probably the most exciting thing in there. There's a digital caliper in the side there. Some drill bits, some pry bars, brushes, vice grips, oil filter tool. That's it for this one. Nothing too exciting, just all the tools that you need on a day-to-day basis that aren't in the bag. I think that's it. Right, so that's it. It's nothing special, it's nothing overly expensive or high-tech, but it's what I carry. And everything in here does get used, some stuff a lot more than others. But it's what I've come to need, and it's what I take with us when we go camping, four-wheel driving, or just going to and from work. This is always pretty much the same. Sometimes a fishing rod might get tossed in here and that's about it. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.